The Chicago Bears selected Colston Loveland with the number 10 overall pick last night in the 2025 NFL Draft, and we are going to be reacting to the grades given to the pick. So let's get right into it. First, we're going to start out with NFL Network, who gave Colston Loveland and the Bears an A-. The analysis says, I expect head coach Ben Johnson to rely heavily on 12 personnel with Loveland and Cole Kmet in the tight end, in the hopes it gives Caleb Williams a better chance to move the chains in year two. Loveland's quick feet and strong hands made him the Wolverines' top receiving threat until an injury sidelined him last fall. He's a physical player who can hold up as a blocker when asked to hit second-level targets. With the top offensive tackles and running back Ashton Jeanty off the board, it made sense for the Bears to take a tight end. History will tell the tale of whether the Bears made the right choice by taking Loveland over Penn State Tyler Warren. So here is my take on it. I was actually pretty happy with the pick last night because with the way the board fell and the tackles came off the board, I do believe that if Calvin Banks Jr. was there at 10, they probably would have taken him. And if Ashton Jeanty was there at 10, they probably would have taken him. The thing that I like about Loveland is he produced from a younger age than Warren did, and he did it consistently. And if you look at Michigan's offense last year, it was garbage. It was really, really bad, and he was still productive. The speed that he gets out of his stance, his route running, his blocking ability. Like, I know a lot of people see Tyler Warren and just automatically assume he's a better blocker than Colston Loveland, and you can make the argument that they're probably the same level of blocker, but I would argue that Loveland is probably a better blocker. So I was pretty happy knowing that, you know, we didn't give up draft picks to go grab a running back, even though as a fan, I would have really enjoyed it. But at the end of the day, I think the Bears did make the right decision if they weren't going to trade back and get more capital. Loveland, to a lot of people, even like the top analysts, was the top tight end in the class and someone that they see a bright future and has maybe a higher ceiling than a Tyler Warren. So now let's move to CBS with Pete Prisco. He gave the Bears an A. He said, I love this pick for the Bears. He was my top tight end. He was the best pass catcher of the tight ends. He will fit perfectly into the Ben Johnson offense. What you saw with Sam Laporta and what you saw with Brock Bowers, I would assume that is how they're going to use him. And I'm not saying that he's Sam Laporta. I'm not saying he's Brock Bowers. Well, he's actually probably a better prospect than Sam Laporta. Not a better prospect than Brock Bowers, but I think with what you saw he was able to do with the Raiders last year, there's no doubt that this should open things up for Romo Dunze on the outside. This should open things up for DJ Moore on the outside. And then you have Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland running up the middle. And if they can get the running back room situated, the Bears offense is going to have so many weapons. And I would assume they would probably try to add a speedster for wide receiver 3 later in the year. But the thing is, or not later in the year, later in this draft, like they already have so many weapons. Like this is wide receiver 2. This is wide receiver 3. Like that's who Colston Loveland is, but you could also use him in the run game. So he impacts the run game and the pass game both really, really well. Let's move on to PFF, who gave the Bears an average pick grade, so not the ABC, but they said the pick shows that first-year head coach Ben Johnson already has his fingerprints on Chicago's team-building philosophy. Pairing Loveland with Cole Kmet gives the Bears significant personnel flexibility. Loveland is a polished receiving tight end and ranked in the 96th percentile in receiving yards per route run at the position this past season. Caleb Williams now has plenty of weapons to work with in DJ Moore, Romo Dunze, Keenan Allen, Kmet, and Loveland. Well, PFF needs to get updated because Keenan Allen is no longer with the Bears. But anyway, I'm okay with people feeling like lukewarm on this pick because I understand that it's not necessarily the most sexy pick, especially because what we've got out of our tight ends last year. And I think that has way more to do with like play calling and just overall scheme than it has to do with Kmet as a player. Now, I think that Loveland definitely has a higher ceiling than Kmet, but people are trying to act like, oh, we should get rid of Kmet or he's garbage. Kmet is not a garbage player, but the ceiling of what Loveland can do, like the athleticism that Loveland has, Kmet doesn't have that. So it adds a 1-2 punch. This is probably if it pans out, one of the better tight end rooms in the league. Let's move to Fox. They gave the Bears a B+. Critics will question Loveland's production in Michigan, but the offense wasn't catered around him in the way it was with some other tight ends in the class, including Penn State's Tyler Warren. They ran that offense through Tyler Warren. Now, you could argue that, he's a good enough player that they can just scheme the whole offense and the defense is going to know. Yes and no. They played differently. Like, yes, Warren can go up and go get the ball and run downfield and catch a jump ball, but he could also catch screen passes, and that's kind of what they used him for. Like Loveland, you can line him up out of the backfield, and I know you get the Taysom Hill stuff with Tyler Warren, where he played quarterback in high school, this, that, and the third. I just think Loveland, in terms of separation, is much better than Warren. He says, Bears fans won't necessarily appreciate the note, but Loveland is cut from the same cloth as Detroit Lions Sam Laporta or Las Vegas Raiders Brock Bowers, just like I was saying, playing tight end like a big receiver. And you got to think, guys, like, the Bears don't have this type of receiver. They don't have a 6'6", 250-pound guy. Like, this is a massive addition to the Bears offense. Of course, no one knows Laporta's impact better than the Bears' new head coach, Ben Johnson. I'm surprised that Loveland went ahead of Warren, but the Michigan prospect's agility, smooth acceleration. Watch his acceleration. Watch how quick he gets out of his stance. Watch how quick he gets into his routes. Like, Loveland, he's got some speed to him. And soft hands should make him an immediate difference maker for Caleb Williams and the Bears. Okay, now we're going to go to the Athletic. Chicago Bears, Colston Loveland, tight end, Michigan, grade A. We've been writing for months that the race for tight end one in this class between Loveland and Tyler Warren were closer than many thought. Loveland reminds me a lot of current Detroit Lions standout Sam Laporta, only bigger. New Bears coach Ben Johnson absolutely adored Laporta in Detroit, and Loveland will give Johnson a quarterback. And quarterback Caleb Williams is a legit receiving threat in all areas of the field. I just butchered that sentence. I already know. Warren is the better blocker of the two prospects, but Loveland is absolutely the better receiver. He's an outstanding fit for everything Johnson does. Grade A. Okay, you can argue the blocking stuff, but it's no doubt that Loveland is the more natural receiver and better receiver. I do think that, like I said, I think the blocking is up more for debate, but the receiving is definitely not. All right, we're going to go to Yahoo. This is Charles McDonald, 4verts on Twitter. B-. He said the Bears needed more talent in their pass catching room and add Colston Loveland to their roster to boost their tight end spot. Loveland has room to grow physically as a blocker, but he's young and has NFL-ready skills as a pass catcher in Ben Johnson's new offense. That's very true. That's another thing that people don't really look at is Loveland's been doing this from like a very young age, and he's still pretty young. And not that Warren is like old at all, but Warren really didn't produce until his last year at Penn State. Loveland has been a producer in the Big Ten at Michigan for a couple years now. I guess the biggest knock on him would probably be the injury stuff, but my thing is, if you take a guy top 10, you're pretty comfortable with the medicals. And at the end of the day, like, I'm not worried about that. He's supposed to be ready to go by the season. So I do get worried that like he may miss some things, but at the end of the day, I hope that our coaching staff can get him up to speed. And now we're going to go to our last grade, which is with Bleacher Report. They gave him an A, and they list his strengths at vertical speed and burst to threaten seam and create after the catch, expansive catch radius. Oh my God. Like, just throwing it up to Colston Loveland and Rome Odunze, like Caleb Williams is this is how Bryce Young feels with Ted McMillan. Extensive experience working in line. Yeah. Injury concerns, need to add some bulk concentration drops. I mean, Colston Loveland is huge. If he were to add like 10 pounds, I'm making business decisions every day if I got to tackle that guy. The Chicago Bears continue to build around Caleb Williams, last year's number 1 overall pick. Prior to the draft, Chicago acquired offensive lineman Joe Tooney, Drew Dalman, and Jonah Jackson to secure the interior. Now the Bears added an extension to the offensive line in Michigan tight end Colston Loveland. Think about how deep that is, right? You're Braxton Jones on the left side, Cole Kmet on the left side. I mean, wherever you want to put him, I guess. I'm thinking 12 personnel. And then you have Tooney, Dahlman, Jackson, Wright, Loveland. Like, that's a big offensive line, guys. Like, pretty big. The second team All-American should be an integral part of new Bears head coach Ben Johnson's offense. He comes from a traditional pro-style offense, which allows him to be a big part in 12 personnel along Cole Kmet. When Johnson was the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator, Sam Laporta became a major pass-catching weapon. Loveland could follow in his footsteps. Loveland was the BR scouting department's tight end one throughout the season, not Penn State's Howard Warren. The reasoning was simple. Loveland had the same upside as a playmaker, but he's more well-rounded as a tight end, particularly when used as the Y option. Loveland did deal with injuries throughout the 2024 campaign that slowed him and cost him 3 games. He then had a corrective shoulder surgery this offseason, which prevented him from working out for the draft. Even so, he remained a top tight end prospect and should add versatility for the Bears offense. So that's another thing is Colston Loveland's toughness. From my understanding, he injured his shoulder pretty early into the year and he played with it. He played with it all year. So I don't know. I know some fans are not pleased with the pick. I think with what was on the board and the quality of player that Colston Loveland can be, I mean, no one was considering Brock Bowers a blue chip last year. But I'll tell you what, he's more of a blue chip than Rome is at this point. And the reality is, what if we got our Brock Bowers? And I'm not saying he is Brock Bowers. I'm saying he will be Brock Bowers. What Brock Bowers did last year was special and truly like kind of one of a kind. But who knows, guys? Like, who knows what Colston Loveland can be? Thank you guys so much for watching. Round 2 and 3 is tonight. I'm super excited. I'm hoping for an O-line, D-line. Be sure to subscribe to the Bear Cave. We're going to be trying to bring you weekly, daily content. One of the two, depending on how things go. But anyway, let us know in the comments who you guys want us to take at 39, 41, and 72. Offensive line, defensive line, your favorite prospects, whatever. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.